Good evening, everybody. How's it? Beautiful weather outside. It's a great day, right?
Oh yeah.
Great day.
Other than what is this? Day 3 of trying to put the game behind us.
Yeah. Should have been parade day.
It would have been a beautiful parade day.
Yes, would have been. It would have been beautiful out there today.
Hey, real quick, I'm going to throw it over to you, Johnny, because Janice is on, and I don't know if she's here for the night. So why don't you make that big announcement?
Absolutely. We finished up our fantasy football playoffs, and Janice was the winner. Solera, congratulations, Janice. You outlasted everybody. You had smartly picked the many of the Chiefs and the Eagles. So congratulations there. Outlasted Lon Floyd. He came in second. Jessica Bullen came in third. And then Mike Butts was fourth. And then we had a three-way tie for fifth with Don Hellens, Tom Bollingal, and Kyle O'Brien. So good job, everybody.
Nobody remembers who finished fifth.
No.
Yeah.
Or tied for fifth.
Yeah, exactly.
But congrats, Janice. Send us your address in a private message, and we'll get a nice autographed prize out to you. So congratulations on that. That's we've got some smart women that are part of this show, and they've been kicking all the guys' butts.
They have. It was very good to see. And it's nice to see all the players, playing out, this whole year, making it through. Like Lon Floyd, he played a lot, and he was able to get up there as well. He almost pulled it out as well. He was close. He had one less player than Janice did, and that was the difference in the championship game. So congratulations to everybody.
Well, both of our winners were both women. Carolyn Bachman and now Janice. So, I mean, what's that tell you?
Oh, yeah. Girl power.
Yeah. They know their football.
They do.
Or they got strong men behind them making some good picks.
We'll stick with the first one.
Okay. I didn't just say that.
Well, Crystal's on the board, so she may be able to let us know if that was behind Janice's picks. So
well, if it was a group selection, good for them. Congrats.
Exactly.
And we got to get you down to Delco for a show. So maybe you can plan on coming out to one of our local shows down this way. So, but it
was all Janice. She said.
Is that right?
100% was her.
All right. Well, congrats.
Yep. Great job.
We're still moping around day 3 after a miserable finish to the Super Bowl. We can certainly kick it around, talk about it, get everyone's opinion or what ifs. I know I certainly I got to find a way to kind of bring it to it's over and it's time to move on, and not quite sure how to do that though. So
yeah, this one's going to hurt for a little while.
I'm afraid so. Yeah, this one stings.
Yeah, I mean they had this one, it's. I feel worse for Jalen Hurts, for as to play that well. He was the best player on the field that day, and for them to unfortunately not come up with that win was would have been a nice thing for him to put in a feather in his cap there for his start of his career there. So
let's Nick brings up third blown championship in 4 months. I'm not ready to hang my hat on the Phillies blowing the World Series.
Right.
and certainly, if you're talking about the Union, I mean, they gave it everything they had. I mean, that I think that extra time is what was the end result there, right?
Yeah, I mean, they scored first in the overtime. The rules that they got in there for the Union. I mean, they should have won. But they had to keep playing longer, and they got it tied up, and then they lost in penalty kicks.
But
So.
help me out here, guys. I mean, shouldn't we really be excited? Shouldn't we really be happy for our teams? I mean, to be where we're at. I mean, to have, like a big part of this, getting to the finals, getting to the championships, World Series, Super Bowl. Yeah, the end result is to win, of course. But, what are you guys thinking?
Well, as John was reading everybody that won, I'm pretty certain you said no one remembers who comes in second.
Right.
So, no, for me, I mean, I'm happy to have a team that can compete and make it to the finals, to make it to the championship game. But for those of you that might have been around on Saturday for the Bill Berge signing at the store, he specifically said that on camera to, I believe it was 6ABC, that as exciting as it is, he is more upset for the team that loses than he is happy for the team that wins, because he knows what it's like to get all the way to that moment that you've worked and lived for and not get it.
Right.
So, no, I mean, if we're going to go that far, I want to win.
And for that way, lose it that way because you lose it in the last seconds of the game.
Well, I feel like there's got to be some kind of irony there. For 14 seasons, we put up with Andy Reid not knowing how to handle time management. He never knew how to handle his timeouts or the clock or any of that. And that's how we lost the game, because he finally learned how to control the clock and how to actually get it to tick all the way down, so we never even had a chance to have the ball long enough to make anything happen. I mean, there's got to be some kind of irony in that.
Yeah. That's what makes it hurt even more.
Came back to bite us.
I mean, it was.
What do you think it is, though, about Andy Reid being here for as long as he was and not being half as successful as he's been in Kansas City? Is it really just truly the talent that's on the teams?
I think it all comes down to Mahomes.
Yeah.
Not so much the full talent, but like he didn't have wide receivers in Kansas City this year anyway, like he didn't have here in Philadelphia.
Well, I mean, come on. Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce.
Right.
I mean,
they're two wide receivers I'm talking.
I mean, you might as well make Kelce a wide receiver.
True.
No, you know what I mean? True. I mean, they're both heading to Canton. They're first ballot guys.
No, true. Yeah. But that's what it all came down to. Because I mean, we could have won. The Eagles could have won the game against the Patriots. Except McNabb threw up at the end of the game, and Mahomes got the game-winning field goal, drove him down for the field goal. So, a little bit of talent, a little bit of luck as well. I mean, with the Eagles there, I mean, the Eagles just let it slip away. Unfortunately, they had that 10-point lead at halftime, and
the game itself, I feel like Jalen Hurts was scrambling the entire game. And I feel like you didn't even get close to Patrick Mahomes. So if you didn't tell me anything else about the game, and you tell me Jalen Hurts is scrambling the whole game and Patrick Mahomes has 10 minutes for throw each pass, I would have said you would have lost right there. How do you not sack him one time? How do you not get close? I mean, I know the end of the game, the defense was probably getting very tired, and the coaches didn't make adjustments. However, it should have never been like that in the first place. They couldn't get even close to that quarterback at any point.
There's not even honestly one particular thing in general that I think you can point at. There are so many things that came to the conclusion on Sunday.
It was two entirely different games, the first half and the second half.
But even that's completely accurate. But even putting that aside, Jalen Hurts constantly looked like he was scrambling. He never looked like he had any time to develop any kind of play. He never looked downfield. He just took off because that was the only option I guess he thought he had. I mean, I read an article about, this groundskeeper guy today. He's 94 or something, and he's retiring. This is his last year. And, I mean, the field looked shitty. Yeah.
You're being awfully kind on that. But, both teams had to play on it. I just don't know what team got the advance notice as to, what specific cleat to wear.
Right.
There's reports out there that, that don't make me very happy about that, because that was a big problem for our guys on defense to get any kind of footing and traction. And,
that's what made it hard for, the defensive line to put the pressure on them, not being able to, because that's what we're built on with the speed, with our defensive ends to get to the quarterback. And that took a little bit of that away from them, unfortunately. But like you said, both teams had to play with that. So it's not the excuses you can make. I mean, they're just, like you said, there's just no adjustments made.
They're just that. They're excuses, and we can, like Lauren said, you could go down there's a long list of, situations, long list of, what should have been, what could have happened, didn't happen. I know somebody brought up the coaches already, where we lost 2. I actually like, if the report is true, I like Brian Johnson taking over the offense.
Yeah.
I like that addition by subtraction. I like that a lot. I think that's just gonna, push Hurts even further, to put the work in and to get back there. The running game, was the running, I feel like we talk about the same things every week.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it just, here it is. It comes back to bite you in the ass once again.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because, you couldn't get any kind of continuity going, with the running game. And then when you did, it was Gainwell, it was, Boston Scott, once again, Miles Sanders disappeared.
He did.
And, I'm like,
by the way, besides 1 or 2 runs by Boston Scott, it was pretty much Gainwell. Their running was abysmal.
Yeah, all around. Yeah, if it wasn't for Hurts was, the only one got any kind of going. But yeah, and Gainwell had the most, I believe, for the running backs of the 3, and it was only like 20 some yards. It wasn't much.
If you figure out, hey, they're not running whatsoever, and we're getting pressure on the quarterback, I mean, how do you win that game? The receivers are covered. They can't run the ball, so he's scrambling. I mean, how would they expect to win that game in that situation? I don't even know what you would have done different.
I don't know. My big question goes back to both of these coordinators, the concentration level for both of them leading up to a game of this magnitude. Where were they at, their mindset, because they're being interviewed, a week prior to the biggest game of everyone's career, right? So, where does that fall into place?
That's always a tough part of the Super Bowl. 2 weeks off, you have coaches, like you said, Steichen was coach, interviewing for the Colts job right before it, and they didn't look the same. The offense didn't look the same as they had all year. And Gannon the same thing. He ended up staying in Arizona and got the job there in Arizona. So
what's that tell you? Prior to all this, right?
You're preparing for your job interviews and not worrying as much, about the games.
From the standpoint of an Eagles fan, it's irritating.
Right.
It's irritating. I mean, I understand. You got the opportunity to become a head coach. I think there should be a rule in place that, that those interviews should take place, after the Super Bowl.
Well, I don't know how that's not a rule. I feel like would be a rule in anything else.
Right.
You're currently employed by someone. I don't know.
I just don't understand how the Cardinals even hired Gannon. Did they watch the same Super Bowl I did on Sunday?
Yep.
What the hell would you want that guy as your head coach for? I mean, he couldn't make an adjustment. I know they talk about the first and the second half being two different games, but when you look at the whole game, the defense sucked the whole time.
They did.
It was only the offense that even gave us a chance at winning.
Really, just Jalen. Really,
he basically had no game plan. He made no adjustments. He literally did the complete opposite of what I would want my head coach to do. And the Cardinals said, "We'll take him."
He was waiting, as he did all year. He was waiting for that big play. That one big play, whether it be an interception or a pick six. For a touchdown, a turnover, something. And it just never happened because you never got pressure on Mahomes,
Right.
And I don't know. It's
like Nick said, they kept them under 200 yards, but they didn't have a ball for 12 less minutes than the Eagles did. So, I mean, it wasn't because of what Gannon was doing that made them stay under 200 yards. It was just he didn't have the ball enough times. Right. They scored all 4 times in the second half, and that they unfortunately with the Jalen Hurts fumble that they scored on that, so that lost the possession from them as well. So you had the ball almost a quarter less than a full quarter of time less than the Eagles did, and you still lost and you still gave up 38 points. So that just tells you how he wasn't as good as the numbers say, but. That's unfortunately the analytics department. It looks good on analytics that he didn't throw up a lot of points or yards, but I look at the points and whether you win or lose versus the analytics on that part.
Yeah, and a couple of the turnovers, a couple of the forced issues, in the game that forced us to do things that we weren't just comfortable with.
Right.
It wasn't our design game plan. It didn't. No. Nothing mirrored what we did all season.
Right. No.
It looked like a completely different defense out there.
I just don't understand how people were so wide open. I understand Travis Kelce's a big dude and he's hard to. I get it, but he was wide open and he made the other guy look like he was like half the size. I mean, he just looked like a man amongst boys. It was fascinating to watch. And then when they got those 2 different touchdowns on the exact same play, how do you not Nick Sirianni doesn't go over and choke the guy? What are you doing? How do you let that happen twice? That's embarrassing.
Right.
I don't know.
And that play was against the Jaguars. Had that happened in week 4 when we played the Jaguars, it was Andy Reid stole that from Doug Peterson. That play because we overshifted on it. I
guess at the end of the day, there's a million different things you could say, but it was still a good year. I mean, it definitely feels more disappointing than the Phillies because no one really expected the Phillies to be there.
Right.
You were the favorites in the Eagles situation.
Yeah. And the Union, that's just unfortunate, sort of at the end, but they didn't really play down. This one feels like the biggest disappointment.
Yeah, because it was one of those things where we did so well all year and you were sort of waiting for the other shoe to drop. At some point they were going to lose, but they didn't and they made it. And then that's how it ends.
Right.
Yeah, at least in baseball, you have a couple more opportunities. It's not one and over.
It is crazy, though. You get one game. That's it.
Right.
I mean, it's impossible to play multiple because of how impactful the game is on them, and I get that part. But that's it. It's just whoever the better team is that day, right, wrong, or indifferent. If it was a 3-game series, who would win?
Right.
I bet you it would go either way. If you did it 10 times, it'd go 5 one way, 5 the other.
Yeah, I think the Eagles are the better team, and they would end up winning out more times than that. But
I agree.
I think like you said, with 3, they would still
talent.
win. Right.
I truly think you saw the still rookie side of Nick Sirianni on Sunday. You saw the inexperienced head coach against the absolute veteran.
Right.
Yeah, but how much does that come off to him, and how much does it come off to his guys? I mean,
Yeah, but he's the one who makes the calls at the end of the day.
I understand that. It felt like those guys couldn't hold anyone, and the quarterback had no time to do anything. And I don't know how you fix that. I don't know what you do about that. They got tired.
He's putting his okay on all this. He's stamping all these all these plays, and this is what we're going to do. We did it all year, and it worked. Well,
right.
They threw in a few wrinkles that you were not prepared for.
Yeah.
Well, and whatever you feel about Andy Reid, I mean, he's been coaching for a very long time, so he didn't really get nervous when he's down at the half. He came back and adjusted, and I guess Nick, trusted his guys, and it just didn't work. So, yeah, maybe it's not the worst thing if one or two of them go, and then you just try to adjust on the flip side. Now, obviously, I'm sure you guys will talk about it. There's going to be, a bunch of guys contracts coming up and things they got to figure out. But I don't know how different the team will actually look when we get to September.
Yeah.
There's a lot of free agents. What's the number, John? Like 20 players?
Yeah, there's a bunch, and about a good 12 of them are guys that are impactful.
Right.
Some may come back. Like we said, and you're not sure what Kelsey's going to do. It didn't look as much as he was coming back, I would think, but just the way he got emotional at the end of the game in the press conference, talking, or actually on the podcast that he has, he was breaking down, crying about.
I saw a little bit of it, and both of them were very emotional.
Right.
And I'm not.
But I think a lot of that came from when they were talking about their mom.
Right.
Well, it was. Yeah, exactly. It was talking about their
Yeah.
mom and that kind of stuff. So I mean that puts a little bit of a different spin on it. But I mean it he's been talking about this since the last Super Bowl. Retiring. So.
Well, John, if you have 12 guys, let's say, that are impactful, there's no way in heck that. I mean, unless I could see one or two of them making a cheaper deal to want to stay in Philadelphia, but
right.
There's not going to be 12 guys that are doing that, especially when a lot of those guys perform are going to want more money in general. I don't know how many they're going to be able to afford. You're going to have to figure out who's the most crucial to keep, and then who else you can draft and figure it from there.
Exactly. Bradbury already came out and said, he wants to be paid like one of the top guys at cornerback position, and CJ Gardner Johnson.
He can go hold somebody somewhere else.
Yeah, I mean, but he was a big piece,
But I mean, we say that about all of them. We probably said the exact same thing after they won in 2018. Was you can't tear this team apart. We got to repeat in 2019. We got to keep everybody together. And then just like that, Corey Clement goes and finds another team. Jalen Mills goes and finds another team.
Right.
Jay Ajayi goes. I mean, all these guys, disperse and go other places, and here you are 5 years later back in it.
Exactly. Yeah. No, exactly. I mean, you get a lot of turnover in football every year, whether or not you're in the Super Bowl or not. You're going to get, a good turnover with your 53-man roster. But
it's a tough one too, John, when they lose, because a lot of people, in baseball or sports that aren't, I don't want to say as hard, but as physically tolling on your body, people are like, well, they got to come back and win the Super Bowl next year. Do you know how damn hard it is to get there again?
Well, so, exactly.
Unless they win it next year, so people want them to do exactly what they did this year, except win one more game.
Right.
Right.
So, right. Okay. So here's the problem. That's extremely difficult. And so before we even get to that point, people are going to say, well, if they don't do that, it's a disappointment. I mean, it's very difficult to go back and back and back and back. I mean, how many times did the Bills do that and lose?
Yeah.
You gotta, it's disappointing, but I don't know that you could say, well, if they don't win the Super Bowl next year, that's a disappointment. Well, it's going to look a lot different next year, potentially.
Well, Anthony, you speak of it a lot in baseball, with the same teams that win all the time, the same teams that are in the playoffs all the time. We're starting to develop those trends in football as well.
Well, it's a little different in football because there's a salary cap. But what you see in football is, which makes it a little bit more fair. But what you do see in football is if you get one of those franchise quarterbacks like a Hurts or a Mahomes or whatever, then theoretically you should be set up for a while because those guys are game changers. Now, you're always going to have a team like the Browns or whatever that, just can't figure it out management wise. But yeah, you are going to see more of those quarterbacks, and you're going to see them there more often.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Chiefs have quite the dynasty, with Mahomes, and it just seems like you can almost, to steal a phrase from John, plug and play. You can just about plug anybody in, like they got rid of, probably one of the best wide receivers in all of football.
Exactly.
And everybody in Kansas City was like, oh my God, what are we going to do? Well, you brought two or three, guys in, and they all added a piece to add up to what that one big contract, would have cost you. And, you saved a whole lot of money there and you still got the same results.
Exactly. And Sean, I agree with you that Carl and I talked about that today at the store that when they punt it there,
Yep.
not going for it like they were aggressive all year long.
Right.
Hurt them just that call in itself, but then it got doubled down being hurt when they ran it back to the 5-yard line, the punt return as well. But that was a big play changing the game. Yeah. Exactly.
Well, didn't they ask Coach about that play at the press conference, and he kind of downplayed it a little bit, that he thought the defense could, get a 3 and out and get the ball back, and
yeah, you could have, but at that point time frame of the game, you were giving the Chiefs 2 possessions to year 1.
Right.
Way it was working out. So
yeah,
again, just all analytics, as well put into it. You got to, we talked about it. It may come down to that last play, who had the ball last, and unfortunately, that's what ended up happening. They got the ball.
Well, I mean, you're talking about punting the ball. Well, there you go. The punter's been out for the last 6 weeks,
right?
And you had a guy, that was doing an okay job. And you bring this guy back who hasn't kicked in 6 weeks, and here you go. There's another situation that festered its ugly face.
Yep. Oh yeah. No, exactly. I mean, special teams have been a problem with this team, a lot this year. Which we talked about. And like you said, it was one of those things where all the things, even when they were winning games and they were having these problems, they got masked because the offense was doing so much.
They were all questionable.
And, it just unfortunately all reared its ugly head this week against a better team, a better team that you've played all year.
Right.
And unfortunately that hurt us.
What, I mean, we all spent time trying to figure out, where this game was heading. And it just seemed like it ended really fast and bad. Do you point to any one particular play? Was it that punt return? Was that the end all, for this game, or was it prior to that, where they dominated, the second half, the fourth quarter? It just had so many bad sways, not in the favor of the Eagles.
Well,
I think it was lost in the first half. Kind of. They dominated that first half, and they had a 10-point, and they only had a 10-point lead, and it just didn't feel like
it was enough.
It was enough, and it should have been more. And of course, it got a little closer because of the unfortunate Jalen Hurts fumble that led to a touchdown for them. That was a big swing in the game right there. But maybe that made it a little bit closer than it, obviously did. But not feel as close. But yeah, I mean, it just
it's different than a basketball, right? Because basketball, theoretically, like one guy could technically take you and win the entire game.
Right.
Jalen Hurts cannot win, even though he tried it. He's forcing that tie at the end. He was trying his hardest to win it, but he needs other people to block and pass and play defense. And you know, you don't need that in basketball. You can have one guy that scores 70 points. You know what I mean? So
Right.
it's just you feel bad for him, and he always says the right thing. They did a great job afterwards, not complaining. They said they should have never let the team in that position. They said all the right things that you're supposed to say afterwards. But that, you know, unfortunately, that doesn't make it feel any better afterwards.
No.
Well, funny you bring that up because there's been a lot of tweets going back and forth with Juju and AJ Brown, and there's been an awful lot of and it's funny to see that surface off of that one play, that one holding penalty. These guys, I guess they're human. AJ Brown was not a happy camper, and he wasn't shutting up.
Well, here's
a lot of them weren't. I mean, there was a couple of guys. CJ got after him about it. Freddie Mitchell chimed in.
Well, here's what I'll say about that. So Juju Smith-Schuster, when he was in Pittsburgh, he's always been known as the sort of not a bad guy, but just
a pain in the ass.
No, just
an immature kid,
like a funny guy. Like he's trying to be a funny guy. And yes, you won, so you can say that. But it
doesn't look good.
No, you probably should have not said it or given it a little bit more time. You said it like immediately, right. And it was very fresh on people's minds. And so you have to deal with the ramifications of that. I think he's a good guy. He does a lot of like charity stuff. I think he's just immature and made a stupid comment that you probably didn't need to say right then.
Right.
No, I think you appreciate the championship that you have and you shut your mouth.
Well, you just worry about yourself, and that's what he should have done. But he was trying to be a funny guy, and then
but
you get people
I also
pissed
saw
off.
today that at least one of the guys from the defense, the offensive line had a shirt on that said 0 sacks.
Well,
so the Chiefs are quickly becoming in the same realm as the Dallas Cowboys for me. Those players and these cheap shots, this bullshit, commentary from them. You won. Shut up. Like,
yeah. I mean, they have the right to do that, I guess, because they won. If someone,
no, they don't.
Yeah.
But they're a human.
No, I understand
it's
that.
It's not about winning, though. It's about respecting the guys that you played against.
I get that, but if someone else wore that shirt in Philadelphia, you'd probably be okay with it.
No, I wouldn't be okay with it, and I'm tired of hearing that. I wouldn't be okay with it. I'm tired of hearing about it would have been okay for Philadelphia. I'm not talking about that. In general, we went and beat the Patriots. Nobody there wore anything against the Patriot players.
I don't know about that.
The guys on the team? No. The fans, maybe. That would have been a different story. But no one on the team wore anything that was offensive to the Patriots.
Yeah, but how are you going to stop that? What are you going to do? They can do whatever they want.
Grow up.
They're 20 years old.
Grow up.
Well, I think it's about respecting the game. You got to respect the game.
Unfortunately, Lauren, not to their defense, but they heard it all the 2 weeks that the Eagles' defensive line was the best. They were going to do this, they were going to do this to them, and
no, absolutely no doubt.
They heard a lot of stuff. Not just from the media and stuff, not just in general, not from the Eagles players or anything like that, but.
Right, but we heard that same stuff when we went to the Super Bowl and we were the underdogs. We embraced that.
Right.
We didn't make it about the Patriots. We made it about the Eagles being the underdog.
Oh, no, exactly.
The Chiefs need to take a page out of that book and just embrace the fact that they won and shut the hell up.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yes, he is.
She is fired up, Sue.
Oh, I'm scared.
Fired up. It's what we like.
This guy, I'm tired of hearing about what Philadelphia does or doesn't do.
What do you mean?
I'm tired of hearing about how it's always okay for Philadelphia to do this or Philadelphia to do that. Shh. As a non-Philadelphia fan, you don't get to provide commentary.
Well, then you might not want to have me on the show then, because that's kind of what I'm here for.
Oh boy.
Anyway, so how's the ballpark going over there, Red?
Beautiful.
That's what you're here for, to provide us on your Reading update.
Well, there you go. There's your platform.
No, today we had a what do you call it? Topping off ceremony. Put the last piece of steel on the top. Press conference would probably be the front of the newspaper. Definitely let off the news tonight. It was good. We'll probably have a couple more of those for different announcements to make, but when you get out to the stadium and you see this structure, it's pretty substantial in size. It's kind of like makes you sort of take a breath for a second. It's pretty substantial. So it's exciting. Definitely the team that's the furthest along in the renovation project for sure. But all they have to really do now is, put the bricks up and, the sort of get the inside walls going. And then it'll take about another year or so to get the inside done. But it's looking good. They're really making some headway.
Yeah, I mean, you guys have had a great off season, doing the heavy lifting.
Mm-hmm.
It looks great. It really does.
Yeah, they've been there every single day since even during Christmas break. Luckily we haven't had days where it has been too cold or snow or anything like that. So yeah, they've been going nonstop every Saturday, Sunday. They're there every single day, and it's neat. I mean, it's gonna obviously it'll be exciting to see it there. It'll be more exciting next year when you can actually walk through it, though.
Right.
Now you said you'll continue to. They'll do updates for the community and get it on the news.
Yeah, so this was like a topping off ceremony, the last piece of steel that needed to be laid down, and then I'm sure we'll do another one when the naming rights of the area come out, and then I'm sure there'll be another one where it's an actual walk through, probably either right before so let's say they finish. I'm making this up, March 31st next year. Maybe there's something where people can walk through before the season opens. I'm sure at some point there'll be some type of press release or chat about what we're going to do with it during the games compared to the non-games, because obviously non-games you can just rent it, whereas during the games we got to kind of figure out how we're going to sort of sell that. But it's just exciting for us because we've never been able to have a year-round space. I mean, you can rent out the team store, which people have done, but that only holds a certain amount. This will let us have events year-round. And not have weather as a factor as well. So, I mean, we pretty much had events from March through November, but now you could really have a lot in the holiday season or anytime around through January, February.
Well, it's gotta make you sales guys pretty excited to have another direction as far as promotions and selling tools for running corporate events and things like that. Is that accurate?
It's very helpful. I mean, we have a lot of events now, like Senior Expo and different stadium rentals and that. And, once you get to October, September's always fine. September's always packed with events. But, once you get in October, once you get to middle October, that's where people start getting a little worried, because you get to like October 15th, let's say, and it could be 30 degrees or it could be 70 degrees. Right. Now you don't really have to worry about that. And if someone wants to stay outside, they could stay outside. But, to be able to have a venue where you could have weddings or banquets or sort of be the hub of the community, all that does is help your current advertisers. And all that does is continue to put, the stadium in the news every day, which sort of helps everyone out, brings more people to the county. I mean, I think they said there's been over like a different 100 inquiries, about the space. And all we really have to show people are sort of that one outside rendering and one inside rendering. So, and that's all we're going to have for a little bit longer. To have that many inquiries, and most of the, you have, let's say 30-40% Berks County, but what does that give you? That gives you, 50-60% from outside areas of people wanting to have events from outside the county to bring stuff in, which is great.
Yeah, that's awesome. Good stuff. Good stuff. Lauren, anything new on your end with UMaine, Pennsylvania that you'd like to talk about?
Well, we wrapped up our For the Love of Football adoption weekend that we had this past weekend. So we combined Valentine's Day and the Super Bowl together. We adopted out 40 animals. So that was great. And now we've got our walk coming up in May. So that's our big fundraiser for May 6th. So that's most of what I've been spending my days with working on right now.
Okay. All right. Well, you guys are certainly welcome to share anything at any time, with this Fan's View. So it's good to have that diversion, we'll call it.
Well, I'll give you another quick update just before we change. So I know the presenting sponsor of this show is City Distilling, and we work to get them in. So they will be at the ballpark this year, which is exciting. So, the different sips pouches throughout the ballpark, which will be pretty exciting. So we just started working on that. And hopefully in the next couple of weeks, we'll know what's exactly available. Hopefully we can sort of switch it out throughout the course of the season, but it is exciting to have them as a partner because I know they've been so good to the show as well.
Nice. Yeah, I wasn't sure where you were going to go with that, if you were ready to release anything, and I didn't want to bring it up, and it was, wasn't time to bring it up.
Yeah, no, it's early to know like what flavors and that sort of thing, but it's nice to know that they're going to be available throughout the ballpark. So, fans of this show and their continued support's appreciated by everybody.
Yeah, they've been very good to us, and it's great that I know they came out last week at Buffalo Wild Wings, and Jamie, was he wanted to make that happen. So I'm really happy about that. So
yeah, no, they're excited. They're excited to come to some games this summer. So it's a great thing to have, and I think it'll do well at the stadium too. It's a unique product.
Yeah,
so
very
it's
cool.
exciting.
Hey, while we're talking about baseball, pitchers and catchers, it almost looks like everybody's reported down in Clearwater.
Yeah, it's nice to see. Everybody's ready to go. They got that feeling, the taste of it last year, and
Yep.
It's kind of tying it with the Eagles. I mean, I think the Phillies might be in a little bit better situation, being in the World Series, and they're going to be able to add a lot more. Or they did add a lot, more pieces to that team. That I think it's going to, be more exciting for them. Where the Eagles may lose a few players, unfortunately, but it's going. I think it's going to be a fun time in the ballpark, again this year. And
So, John, you think their biggest threat this year will be the Mets? I think on paper people would say that, but for the Mets' sake, you would hope that those guys come through because they spent a lot of money. So, if I guess that's what it looks like is the biggest challenge right at this point would be the Mets.
Yeah, everybody keeps saying the Braves. That the Braves have the farm system and everything that, so we may not know some of the names right at the moment. But they always have that farm system that helps them out a lot. They're always a sneaky team to worry about. You just got to worry about, for them health as well. But I don't know. I think for the Eagles, I mean, for the Phillies, it's just them. Stay healthy. You know what I mean? Like they have everything that you need. They got the taste of it going there last year to the World Series there, and it's going to be interesting, to see how Rob Thompson's got a lot of pieces to mix with in that bullpen. That he can be able to hopefully start the season out a little slower with the starters, maybe 5-6 innings only early in the year, and then let the bullpen do their job. You got guys that can cover different parts of the game. So
they need to come out fast. I know they're going to be minus the big piece, but they need to come out fast.
Yeah.
Nick Castellanos needs to kind of turn it around and make last year just a complete bad memory, and they need to put up some early wins and win the series and just let the Braves and let the Mets chase you all year.
Right.
You don't need to be doing the chasing. You've got the horses now to lead, to get out in front and let them chase you. The pitching's there, the bullpen is there. You've got some young players that you're still gonna, try to figure out what's good, or what potentially maybe they need to just dial it back a little bit. But I just, I think Clearwater's going to be a happening place. I know I've got my countdown clock going. I'm looking forward to it. I know, Lauren, you made your plans. You'll be down, and we're really looking forward to it. So, But Sean makes a comment. Hopefully, Bryce will have both shoes on. And I don't know if anybody picked up on all that. He was at the Super Bowl on Sunday, and I guess he was going through the airport, and a young man asked him for his autograph, and he didn't have a Sharpie, I guess, to autograph his hat. So he took his shoe off, and he had a pen, and he autographed the shoe and gave the kid a shoe. Or a sneaker, whatever it was, and he kind of only had one left when he got on the airplane. So I think if that story's true, and it looked to be true because they showed pictures of it, that's pretty cool stuff.
It is.
I just want to see the shoe surface. Like whoever the kid is that got the autograph, like put it up on Facebook, put it up on Instagram, so we can, I don't know, so the story can come full circle.
There you go. You need credibility.
I don't not believe it. I want to see it.
Yeah. That would be very cool. Very cool. Yeah. I mean, all the big wigs were out at the game on Sunday.
It's funny because that story literally only surfaced because his wife posted a video on Instagram, on her Instagram story, of him walking through the airport with just one shoe. Like that's the only reason anyone even found out about it, was because it was on her Instagram story for 24 hours. And I remember looking at it thinking, this is absolutely going to take off. Like the media is going to have a field day with this, because he's literally walking through the airport with just one shoe on. Right.
He was able to get through the security line a lot faster that way.
Mm-hmm.
I would have given the kid both shoes. What the hell are you going both?
You're walking with a limp now.
Yeah. But I think the Phillies, I think they're going to, I would hope, after last year, they should come in, they should feel loose. They should feel like it's time to play. They should, get a big lead. For Nick's sake, I hope he does well, because if, God forbid, he's in a slump, people want to get rid of him immediately.
Hopefully he moved out of Ben's house.
So you think that's what it was?
There's no good vibes in that house.
No, but he's a good player. I think they're gonna feel loose, and they're gonna want to play and just have fun. Majority of the guys coming back. I think it's gonna be a fun season.
It definitely is. It's got the makings of a great season. Again, you got to stay healthy. And guys they just they're getting paid a lot of money, so you got to expect big numbers.
Right.
You know what I mean?
But the only thing that scares me a little bit is why do the experts only think that you're only going to win 84 games? That doesn't.
Because there's never any respect for the Philly teams.
Well,
I don't care who it is. There just is no respect for any of the Phillies teams.
Yeah. Well,
they're probably, if I had to guess the reason, they're probably saying it because, not that there's, I don't know. I'm guessing it's because the Mets because they play so many games in the division, they think they might lose a couple more games to the Mets, a couple more games to the Braves. So they're still going to make the playoffs, but it might be a little bit tougher. That's what I'm guessing.
Right. Yeah. But they won more than that last year and added, a lot more pieces to this team to complete it a lot nicer going into the season, at least anyway.
I saw a little bit of footage, of the bullpen guys, throwing the ball around, and there's Dombrowski. He was hugging every one of them welcome to the World Series team. He's pretty fired up. So hopefully, there was a lot of, I don't know, negativity last year, with Joe Girardi, and, got off to a slow start.
Right.
So hopefully, we've got all that behind us. But I just, before we run out of time, you're talking Clearwater and, the Phillies and, the whole town, right? All of Philadelphia with everything that's happened in the past year, right? And, a lot of the negativity, that spins off from, certain, and a lot of it is outside noise, as they call it,
right.
From different reporters from around different areas. It's interesting to see a lot of them backpedaling now on Jalen Hurts. You know, a lot of them that had buried the kid. You know, he has no shot. He'll never be anything. And you know, now all of a sudden, you know, he's the second coming of, you know, Patrick Mahomes. You know, like Lawrence said earlier in the show, he's probably the only one who had a great game on Sunday. You know, it just wasn't enough to carry it through.
Because everyone in the media, I mean, the media always wants to be, in general, because the fans a lot of times watch the media, and so that's what they think. It's always, you know, it's 100% black or white. Like, so he's either horrible, and now he's the greatest thing ever. You know, it's either one or the other. That's how they are. That's how they do things. But I think he definitely proved to people throughout the country this past week that he deserves to be in contention with all those other top guys.
But don't you think he got his start here in Philadelphia in the wrong spot? I mean, he was drafted, you know, as Carson Wentz was still our fearless leader. And I think a lot of people thought you know, that was going to cause dissension amongst the team. And, you know, how dare you take Carson away from us? So I feel like he kind of got started here in Philadelphia in a bad light. And so he's always kind of had to prove himself because everybody was so gung-ho about Carson Wentz.
Well, sure. And they weren't sure how he was doing. Why would he take another, you know, potential quarterback, you know, in the second round when you've got this, you know,
you just paid your franchise guy.
Exactly.
literally like a couple months right before that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well,
you know,
I guess Howie knew something.
Well, that shows how
that the rest of us didn't.
That shows how either smart he was or how many questions that he had to do that, because everyone was just ripping him during that time, and he must have known something.
Yeah. It's, you know, it's interesting, and I don't know, what is it, a feel good story? You know, is that what it is?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it just shows, you know, he put in all that work this year, you know, in this off season.
Well,
you know,
again, going back to what Lauren said, you know, earlier in the show, you know, he said all the right things.
Oh, right.
He gives everybody around him all the credit. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? He's all about the team. He's all about his coaches. And, you know, you're never going to hear him complain and say, you know, one bad thing about anybody. And I just think, you know, the whole maturing process, you know, for him this year, even when he went down for a couple of weeks and, you know, everybody was still crushing him, you know, it just didn't make much sense. But we've got to, you know, it's a really cool thing. We got a franchise quarterback. We'll keep our fingers crossed, you know, that he can stay healthy and have a great offseason and, you know, bring this team back to, you know, back in September, the OTAs. I'm not quite sure when they are. Sometime this summer, I guess July or whatever.
Well, they'll have the first one at the end of April when they have the draft.
Around the draft, right?
Right.
Yeah.
For mostly for the rookies that are drafted and stuff. And
yeah, and you know the Eagles. You know, I know they got a lot of, you know, free agent guys, but they're sitting pretty good, right? They got a couple of number one picks. Mm-hmm. You know, you can do a lot of things with those number one picks. And I think, you know, Howie has shown in the past he's pretty flexible with, you know, with wheeling and dealing. So who knows, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, you know, you're in the Super Bowl and you're runner up in the Super Bowl and you got the 10th overall pick now. So, you know, that's huge.
Yeah.
To go along with your 30th pick.
You know, do you trade out of that spot and get, you know, 3 or 4 more picks, you know, or do you go for that, you know, for that one, you know, 5-star, you know, player?
Yeah, I mean, they're going to have to get a little bit younger at defensive backs. So, you know, if one of the studs are there, I think I would take it with that. And, you know, I would like, you know, if they fall still, supposedly he's going to be there. I like that Joey Porter from Penn State. He's got a lot of length. His father played in the league, you know, with Pittsburgh. You know, I think he might have the intangibles that you need. And
we're not very good at drafting Penn State guys.
Well, yeah, but I don't know. I think I'd take a chance here with them. You know, which you could still maybe drop back a little bit and still get them, a few picks, pick up another pick or, maybe get them down to 12, 13 before the Steelers get them. I think that's where he's going to probably end up going if the Eagles don't pick him up. But you need somebody like that that's young, defensive backs to because Slay's getting older. He's going to be here for another year or two. Will Anderson would be another one.
I just don't know if he's going to be around at 10.
Right, exactly.
You know what I mean? Yeah, he would be a solid addition, to that D line.
Right.
But who knows?
It's really how he's going to have to. How he's got his plan, like you said. He knows what he's doing. It's a matter of who you're going to keep on the defensive side, free agent wise. We have a few guys that could replace some of the guys with Jordan Davis already and Nakobe Dean.
You got to find a spot for both those guys because they were high picks.
Right, exactly. But the problem is you're taking veteran guys away. Even if Fletcher Cox may not have been Fletcher Cox of 5-6 years ago, his experience that he had in the league helps a lot.
Sure.
You're putting a rookie out there that may or may not fill the shoes as well.
Okay.
Maybe a better player overall, in a few years, but for next year it may hurt a little bit.
Yeah.
Losing the experience. So,
real quick, we're at Hanrahan's Irish Pub next Wednesday night with Chris Terrian. Bundy. Chris is a huge Eagles fan, season ticket holder, so I'm sure he'll have a lot of comments about the Eagles and the Super Bowl, and he doesn't hold back. So, really looking forward to that, and filling Hanrahan's. So we're looking forward to that, and we're moving on in 2023. So we got a lot of stuff in the works. We're really we're having a lot of fun with our Philly teams.
Absolutely.
Winning is contagious, right?
Oh yeah,
and gives us a great great conversation week in and week out, whether we're live or we're in our homes and taking a break. Joey, I know you're heading to Clearwater. You said on Friday, send us some pics. I'll be more than happy to post them on the page. It'd be great to see you when I get down there. So we're really looking forward to it.
Don't totally get off football yet because you still got one last party this Saturday, right, at the store?
Absolutely. I had it on my list, but Carl's Cards and Collectibles is hosting Brent Selleck, our Super Bowl 52 champion. We were actually hoping to expand upon that, but we'll party with Brent.
Absolutely.
He's quite the character, so we'll have fun with him. So we got a lot of stuff in the works there as well. We're always planning stuff. Isn't that right, Lauren?
That's right.
21 days, Kevin Kramer. I'm right there with you. So, we're really looking forward to it, and hopefully, maybe we can do a live show from down in Clearwater. Bring back the old days.
Yeah,
not necessarily in the parking lot, but maybe inside the park. So.
I think somebody has ideas of maybe a reception hall.
Oh, that too. Yeah, we got an extremely big wedding. It's a busy 10 days. I'm telling you. So I'm really looking forward to it. It's been a while since I've been down, and I know the family needs it. I need it. So we're really we're gonna have a good time.
You're gonna need a vacation from the vacation.
Well, just hope I come back.
Okay.
Just hope I make it back. It's always been a lifelong dream to make Clearwater home. So, all right, guys, great show, great conversation. We're ending it on a, not a happy note, but we gotta eventually clear our minds, right? Baseball season is going to cleanse us and get us going. Hopefully the Sixers.
I was just going to say that. Yep.
Hopefully the Sixers can get us back in the win column. They're home tonight versus the Cleveland Cavaliers before the All-Star break. So, we got a lot of fun times coming up. So hang with us, follow us, This Fan's View. We appreciate everybody, tonight. Sean Young, thanks for joining the show. Joe Stinger. Who else was on? Kevin was on. Nick was on. Who else? Emily was on. Yeah, we had a nice crowd. So thanks everybody for joining, and come out next week. Come out to Hanrahan's, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So, guys, I'll let you take it from here.
You're all good. Yeah. Well, congratulations once again to Janice for winning the contest, and look forward to NCAA March Madness.
There you go. There you go.
We're never stopping here.
There you go. Yep. Very cool. All right, guys.
All right.
Keep up the great work in Berks County.
There you
got
go.
that right.
All right. Take care.